So I want to talk about a leadership characteristic today that I think most people don't even consider it as a leadership characteristic. And quite honestly, I don't know if it would be a leadership characteristic, but I'm going to say it is. And that's the quality of being nice. Being nice to other people. Now, many of you may be kind of taken aback by that and thinking, what? It's not a leadership characteristic. Well, why not? And how come it can't be? Think about the people in your life who have been leaders. How did they treat you? How did they treat their team members? How did they treat other people? Some of them probably weren't. Nice was not the very first thing that came to your mind. I'm not saying it has to be the first thing. When you consider the long list of qualities and characteristics for being a leader, right, this is not on it for a lot of people. And yet, think about those people, as I just said, who in your life have been leaders. How many of them treated you well? How many of them were nice people? Probably most of them. Okay? And those that weren't and yet were still considered leaders, okay, how did they lead? How did they get people to do what needed to be done? Was it fear-based? How long does that last? How well does that galvanize people into action and going, yeah, I can't wait to work hard for this person? See, we consider the concepts of leadership, in terms of, demanding and working hard and leading by example and all those types of things. There's a lot of characteristics that would fall into that category of a leadership quality or a leadership characteristic that we sometimes overlook. How does this leader treat the people he or she leads? Well, for most great organizations, when you look at the organizations where, as people say, oh, I loved playing for or working for that person, most of the time that person was a nice person to the people that he or she led. Or now, are there leaders that have, been not the nicest people? Of course. They're hard and they're demanding and they're constantly on people, and you will hear stories that people say about how they hated that person, or they really struggled working for that person or playing for that person, but they also knew that person was getting the best out of them. Well, for some people, that way works. And what I mean by that is, for some of the people being led, that way works. But consider how many people you have on your teams that doesn't work for them. And yet the other way, just by showing that you care, just by being nice to them, just by asking, hey, how's your day going? Just by whatever it is that you do that shows you to be a nice person, just by doing that, you are going to get more out of those people. While at the same time, the others will still be self-motivated enough to push themselves. There are those who love to be driven, or at least say that that's what they like. Push me hard, yell at me, that's what I want. Whereas there are others who, they don't respond as well to that. Well, I think that we need to figure out what's the balance, try to do our best at providing each, sure, but quite honestly, just the quality of being nice to others oftentimes is a leadership characteristic that just goes totally, I don't know if unnoticed is the right word, but certainly unappreciated maybe. And so think about who you like to be around. Wouldn't you rather be around people that treat you well? Wouldn't you rather be around people that are enjoyable personalities, nice to other people? Of course. Well, how is that any different than in the realm of leadership? Those of us who are part of a team, who have a leader leading us, right? We're no different than anyone else in terms of, I like to be around that person because that person is fun, that person is enjoyable to talk to, that person treats me well, that person's nice. I'm not as into being around that person because she's not. Well, how is that different for a leader? It isn't. So when leaders show that they care about you, when they show that they value you and value your input to the team and value all that you do for the team, and they do it in a nice manner, it's a lot easier to want to keep working hard for those people. as opposed to those who have more of a, again, there's nothing wrong with being demanding. It's a key to leadership, but demanding while also maybe being demeaning or just mean, or just not nice. And so consider this concept that while we don't think of being nice as a leadership characteristic, it sure helps. It will sure help you get the most out of a lot of the people on your team just by treating them with respect, which should be a given anyway, but also treating them with a caring, loving attitude that says, yeah, I like you and I value you, and I want to treat you the way that you deserve. So consider this in your own leadership character as one of your own leadership characteristics. Would your players, would the people on whatever teams you lead say that, yeah, you're a nice person? Most of us consider ourselves to be nice people. Most of us don't think we're jerks. But if we were to do a poll, of the people who we've led in our lives, that was a blind, anonymous type of poll, wouldn't it be interesting to find out how many would say that about us? So consider it. I think it's something important for us to try to always keep in mind that how we treat the people we lead is often going to determine a whole lot about what we can bring out of them as we are trying to lead them. Talk to you again next time.